Morning.
Oh, good morning. Hi, Al. How are you?
Good. How you doing? How's your trip?
Fine.
Good. I don't know if you have my business card or
No,
not.
I came here. I see seed,
Uh-huh.
Berkeley seed, and I was visiting yesterday two farmers in Tucson,
Ah.
and they told me that they take seeds from Berkeley.
Ah.
You supply seed for many people.
Yeah, a lot of people.
The your fields is special for seed.
Yep. That's what we do.
You plant wheat special for the seed.
Yep. We also do it for the grain.
Also
We do
for
both.
grain.
We do both. So yeah, we actually we produce our own seed, produce our own grain. That's all in-house. So we
Well,
have,
how many wheats you plant?
well,
I visited one farm. We plant like 2 million pounds, 300 acres. And he took me to another farm 3 miles from him. He have much bigger than him.
Yeah.
It's big fields here.
Yeah.
This is how many acres you have?
We have about something like 180,000 tons. Probably about 60,000 acres under contract.
60,000 acres.
Yeah, but we're in a couple areas. We're in Imperial Valley, which is to the west.
Yes.
There's like
How many miles more you have?
700,000 acres over there.
How many miles you have to the west till
70.
California?
Well, it's only like 1 or 2 miles to the west.
1 or 2 miles is California
It's
already.
California.
And you are in California.
Yeah, we're in California. But the valley starts about 50 miles from here, 40 miles from here.
Where is the river? How many miles from here? The Colorado River.
Half mile to a mile.
A half mile is the Colorado River, and this is the border between.
Mm-hmm.
This is the border between California, between Arizona and California.
That's correct. Yeah, if you can't quite see it from here, but if you go up to the highway here, the Pacific.
Can I close this door? I should.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I came from Pacific. Yes.
Yeah, but if you went back north on Pacific and at 16th Street, you go
Yes.
up here and you get on the Interstate 8.
8,
goes
yes.
west. In a mile, you'll cross a bridge, and then you'll see the river right there.
When I cross the bridge, then I go over the river.
And then you'll see a sign that says you're now entering California.
Sure, this, and you are in California.
Yeah, we have a grain facility in California.
You know a town, Medellin in California. Madeira.
Yeah. Yeah, I know where it's at.
Where is how many miles from the border, from the river?
Oh, Madeira is, that's clear north. That's near, north of Fresno, California, which is about 7 hours from here.
7 hours. Now I understand.
Yeah, so
I got a big confusion yesterday. I tell you why. Because I make a lot of research on the phone. It's the first time I came here because everybody told me, all the rabbis, you got to come there and see in person. And I thought.
Yeah, it's that's a long way from here. I'm gonna turn this off real quick.
Because I all the time thought. I thought every time that it's not necessary. Even still, when I came here, it just was. I figured, let me try and come. But as soon I arrive here, I see it's a real factor. I have to be. I found out here things. When I took a person to the farmers, I found somebody told me yesterday. I visited 2 farmers in Tucson. Yeah. They told me that in Tucson they have no problem with the salt.
A lot less. A lot of it's ground.
A lot of less, yes. Because here, the rabbis told me that here the minimum what they have to do. They have to make before they start the planting, before they start to dig. How you call it the first thing?
Tillage. Tillage.
Before the tillage, they have to make the minimum, but they have to make 3 or 4 times irrigation repeatedly, one after the other. This push down the salt,
right.
And a lot of times it's not enough. Then they have to add chemicals, whatever. But this is the minimum what they have to do because it's Yoma. And they told me in Tucson they have nothing to do. They told me the reason because it's not so hot and they have the wells there 800-900.
Yeah, you're sitting at about 2,000 foot. Most of that, a lot of that's well water. Now they do supplement some of that with the Colorado River called the Central Arizona Project, which is a canal that goes from around Parker, Arizona, which is 110 miles north of here, and it cuts across central Arizona down north of Phoenix.
Yes.
And then there's a canal system delivering water into the Phoenix system. And then from that point, it delivers in all the other irrigation system. And then there's some water storage units and stuff from Phoenix all the way down towards Tucson. And then they use wells plus the Colorado River to supplement their water. So the salt content that's coming in from the Colorado River is reduced because there's so many wells being pumped too. Okay.
How much ppm is in their wells? They told me it's 900 feet deep.
Yeah, but they're pumping 4,500 gallons.
What?
4,000 gallons of water per minute.
Yes. They told me a huge amount, yes.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're 900. Maybe they are 900. I was thinking they're more like 450 feet deep.
He explained me it's 900 feet deep, but they're pumping from 500 feet.
Okay, that's it. So they drilled that
What
deep.
means?
Well, what they do is when they drill down, there's an aquifer down there here. So here's the Earth's crust. Okay, here's the Earth's crust right here. So when they drill the well down, you get into what you call an aquifer.
Yes.
Like this. Then you have the ground that comes kind of like that. So there's like a bowl of water, and this is water.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now this ground between here, right in here, is porous.
What means porous?
Porous. Okay. So water trickles down, so it recharges. So this one is recharging. In Arizona, they're recharging aquifers. So what they've done now, when they drill that well down here, they'll go clear down to 900 foot right here, or this is a little bit out of scale. But then they put a pipe down in here, and they put that what they call a pumping bowl. This is the bowl.
Yes.
Right here. That's where the water goes into, and that's where the pump then is pulling the water from. So what happens is when they've gone this far down, 900 feet, to get drainage, get all this water to seep into this pipe.
Yes.
And then with the pressure, it pushes up, and so then the recharge is high.
What is recharge? What you're writing there? What is recharge?
Okay, recharge is the aquifer refilling, or recharging the bowl from the aquifer. Okay, this isn't all water. This isn't all water. There's rock.
Yes.
And dirt, and everything else. A lot of that in here. Okay.
Okay.
But it's just not solid water. It is a body of water down there, but
it's got other it's parts. Mixed.
Yeah, it's got other stuff. So then what happens is that water seeps into this bowl, and they pump here up out of that bowl. So if you don't go down deep enough and make your well large enough, you don't have the drainage.
I see.
For the water to seep into there so you can pump it out.
And what makes the water to separate from the dirt?
It's just coarse. And
it's nature.
It's nature. Yeah.
Now
when I'm also talking about recharging, they have the ground here is porous also. It's sandy.
Yes.
There's not a hard layer that stops the water. So the water that from the rain that's coming down hits the earth and it trickles.
The water from the rain.
And the irrigation.
Yeah.
It all trickles. And all the rivers and the arroyos that are in there, they all drain down into this aquifer.
In the well?
Yeah, into the aquifer.
What is aquifer?
That's for this whole body of water.
Yes.
Okay. That's the underground water.
And when they got rid of the salt, the rain, this 13 inches rain helps to leach?
Yeah, it pushes the salts down out of the root profile. There's a root profile here.
Yes.
Where the roots grow. It pushes it below it. So the roots aren't picking it up.
But maybe because it's so far away from the... Because they told me, somebody here told me, Mr. Nolte.
Yeah, and the salts also collect to the clay particles.
Yes.
And they aren't released.
Here in Yuma they have a lot of clay soil.
Yeah.
Because the heat.
A lot of the clay is because we're farming floodplains. The rivers flooded and deposited all the fine silt.
I see. You mean since the world creation?
Yeah, a million years ago. Yeah.
Now they make 1930 they build a dam.
Yeah, and they control it.
They control it.
There's no flooding anymore, so it's not new soil being deposited anymore.
But up till 90 years ago it was flooding since the world creation, and that makes it clay.
Yeah. See, on the soil profile, there's an A, a B, and C horizons. They call them horizons.
Yes.
And those are soil levels. Those are soil levels in the Earth's crust. And when you get down here far enough, you get into bedrock. Okay? That's just hard rock. Then you get into the mantle. So I'm taking you through the earth, okay? Then you get to the Earth's core, which is hard, but in between the mantle, it can be soft, liquid, okay? But I'm giving you a very crust, the very top. The very top.
You know, this so perfect, like the.
Okay, the very top of the earth, what we're farming on, there's an A, B, and C horizon. And that's in most places in the United States, you have these three, okay? This is usually, A is usually topsoil. B is usually a sandy soil. And C is gravel. Gravel.
But here in Yuma, is it instead of sandy, is it clay?
It's all this.
What? Topsoil?
All topsoil.
The topsoil is clay.
Clay, with a little bit of sand in it.
How many feet deep is the topsoil?
The ones here, 40 foot.
40 foot from the surface down? Here in Yuma is clay because the river...
Maybe even 60.
Maybe even 60. Because the river used to flood for all those years.
Most of the big alluvial plains, like the Colorado, the one that comes through Welton, the Salt River that come out from south of Phoenix, at the Gila River and Long Island Farm, it's deep. It's really deep. They aren't as deep there as they are here. This all the way into Mexico down to El Golfo is very, very deep. There is no B or C, right? It's all A.
It's all A. Wow.
All A.
How many feet is it there?
It could be 60. 60. Down to water.
60 is the deepest.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's why somebody told me, Mr. Nolte, Kurt Nolte, you know him?
Yeah.
He told me that in Yuma is the well. He told me like there in Arizona, there in Tucson is at almost 1,000 feet deep, but here is at 10 feet deep.
Yeah, that's just it. See, when you get down off of the mesa that we're on here, and you get down into the river bottom here, which is all the farm ground, their water is no more than 10 foot down.
Yes,
and they're pumping. Because what can happen is when you get down that far, they get what they call a perched water table, where all the salts sit. So if you don't pump that water down to put the salts below the perched water, then you ruin your land. So what happens is when you're sitting here on this ground, then 10 foot down, you get all this water sitting right here that has salts in it. And that's right here at this 10 foot. So what you do is you pump that back out. So you keep lowering it. So when you flood irrigate, you push the salts back down in. So it's kind of cycling it. So you dump it into the river, and the river run goes down into Mexico and into the ocean.
By the way, somebody told me that the technique what you do to push down the salt. You plant in the middle. You plant also lettuce.
Yeah.
Cabbage, lettuce, winter vegetables.
Yeah, all the cold crops.
Yes, because here is the hottest place, and for rotation you plant weeds, and
one of the reasons for wheat is they're put them in these rows, so that when you're looking at it sideways, the seed is planted here, like this, okay? So the plants are going here. These are low, okay? They're 10 inches deep. So when you irrigate it, this is where the water comes through. What happens, you push the salts like this on top of these beds. Mm-hmm. Okay? So what they do then when they plant wheat, they knock all of this off to make it flat again.
It should be
so all the ground is flat, then they put wheat in it. And then when they irrigate it, it pushes all the salts back down in the soil uniformly across the whole floor. So then in the winter again, they put these back up in beds, and the ground's all brand new. It's all new and refreshed, no salts. So then they plant on top of those beds again. So that's part of the reason for the wheat.
Now my question is that because by the lettuce you have to reduce the salt more as for the weeds. And how come if after planting the lettuce, after harvesting the lettuce, you finish and then you want to plant wheat? You have to make other irrigations or chemicals to reduce the salt for the wheat. If it was reduced much more, they explain me because it's come back once it get dry, the soil
Yeah. What
Once
happens? Yeah.
How it works this? I cannot understand it so perfectly.
Yeah. What happens is the salts.
They told me the salt come back
Yeah,
from two reasons.
Well, you got two reasons.
One from the irrigation water, and one from the old salt. It came back up to the surface.
Yeah, it comes back up. It seeps. The water seeps. Even see, you're going to put a well down at 10 foot, but you'll have water seeping back up within 3 feet.
Yes.
Okay. Because the river water is coming back up, it soaks back up.
It's so the ground is
soaked back
from the underground water.
Yeah, it comes back up, and that's high in salts.
That's what Kurt Nolte explains.
Water this, keep it pushed down, keep this perched water table, wherever I had drawn it, a perched water table, wherever it was at. Keep that perched water table cleaned out so you can flush stuff through there.
That's what Mr. Nolte told me. He told me that this underground water is much more saltier than the Colorado River, because all the salt they put on the soil, it goes in, and then because it's so close, then it drinks, it comes up.
Yeah, the ground will become, if it's black, if it comes back up, it becomes white, below white dust.
Yes. When it's
they
white,
basically call that alkali. It's an alkali soil.
When it's white, you see the salt.
You can see the salt easily.
But when they wash, easily they could see it.
Before.
Every time when they make the irrigation.
And when you irrigate this, I don't know if you see it so much here. Yeah, you probably would. When they irrigate here and they push water, if they would irrigate every other one, okay, and not irrigate this one, but then irrigate this one, they would push water and the salts to this side.
To the neighbor. Wow.
And to this side. That way the plant then is growing on clean, no salt. Okay? If you did that, you would see a white band of salt all the way up and down that row.
I see. And Mr. Altman, you know Mike Altman. Yeah. He told me that's why the white color is only from the new water, or from the
new
also
water.
from the.
A lot of it's from the new water. Because what you do is you push new and in the soil. Because what you do is you push those salts away.
No, but
so what happens? It picks it up. It picks it up and pushes it away. And then when that water stops and it doesn't go all the way across the furrow. They stop on this half of the furrow right here. So the salts sit there. And you don't water this row, because if you did, you'd push it back.
Uh-huh.
So you want to collect all your salts on these two sides, right in this area.
But when it comes back, that's why you have to make irrigation again and put chemicals to get rid of the salt even before you plant the weeds.
Well, I don't know how much chemical is used to get rid of the salt. Most of it's just flushing with water. Sometimes there's nitrosol used, which is an acid, which helps dissolve it so it can carry through the soil and out. But I don't know if a lot. He
also explained me that because the clay soil, it keeps the salt.
Yeah, it's a positive.
He said that how much.
You got to have a negative charge and a positive charge. Salts are positive. Is that right? Salts are negative. Salts are negative, and when they'll combine. The clay is a positive charge. The salts are negative, and they combine and attach.
That's why it's holded down.
Yeah, and that's why it's held.
He told me that even after leaching the soil, after washing the soil with what you do for it, he told me that they just reduce it to a level it should be able to grow.
That's right.
But it's still left there.
I don't know, it's 2,000 parts per million, maybe.
This is the limit.
Did he give you a limit? The number? The way
I don't remember, because I'm not familiar. I don't remember what he talked to me. But 2,000 is the limit it should be able to grow.
Yeah, I mean, some things won't grow in that.
But wheat is salt tolerant.
Yeah, it's enough that it can grow.
Wheat, he told me wheat is salt tolerant. That's why it could be. This is the number 2,000. And for cabbage and lettuce, how much would be the number?
It's lower.
Much lower.
Yeah, it's lower.
Like 500.
Or I don't know if you can get that. It's probably more like 1,000. 1,000 would probably still work.
Now this the lettuce is 1,000 and the wheat is 2,000.
Maybe.
But he said.
But I know there are places, there are wells that do 7,000 salts parts per million. Wells in Arizona that push that much salt per part.
The same like the Colorado River.
Yeah.
Because it comes from this.
And there's some that are 10,000. Like you get up around Safford, Arizona, These here too, if you're going to do salt flushing, they work better than clean water. They'll push more salts through than clean water. Because you aren't picking up salts and redepositing, you're actually just pushing it. It's not ready to pick anything, it just pushes it away.
Pushing it.
Pushes it away.
Now, how come you told me that here in Arizona, because it's left salty like the 2000, what you write there, that's why it picks up, the wheat picks up salt. Even we don't want it, but we have no choice, it goes in, because it's right by the roots, he called it salt accumulation. He explained me that it's real salt. It's left behind the water left behind from the evaporation, and this is what the wheat picks it up, even if it's not good for them. But we have no choice. But how come that in Tucson that they don't have nothing to do? This is probably because their well, which is 900 feet deep, is such a good water that it doesn't make salt accumulation.
Well, there's less salt in the topsoil, and they're pushing it out probably, so then it's not there for it to pick up.
It's nothing to pick up.
It's
nothing to pick up for the weeds. Yeah. And what do you think? How much?
But I tell you what, I've seen a lot of ground over there around Casa Grande and Marana, and all the way to Wilcox. It's pretty salty. It may not be quite as high as this, but it's still fairly salty.
That it could be pretty salty, and they don't have nothing to, and they don't have even to work on it. If it's salty, they have to make special irrigation before the planting.
Yeah, but they raise good wheat over there. The wheat works well, and they raise melons and a few other things.
Better than here in New York?
No, we make more tons, more pounds per acre.
What means plump, by the way? I saw an article that the wheat here is more plumped. It's nice by the mill.
It's drier. It's only about a 7 or 6% moisture, so it's very dry.
If it's dried, it makes it more plump?
No, but it fills real well. Okay. It's got plenty of water, so it fills real well. There's no shriveling to it because it gets all the water it needs for the most part. But we also bred the durums that are here for high bushel weight, high test weight.
For pasta.
Yeah.
Now, how come I saw that 95% from the whole Arizona, the pasta wheat goes to export and mainly to Italy. Mm-hmm. They make a lot of pasta.
You know what it is? It's because it is the best wheat in the world to make pasta. And just because we raise durum here, the environment helps, but it's more than the environment. We've actually bred these varieties to be specifically for those high-end use pastas. This pasta the wheat that we raise here to make pasta, you can take the wheat, you can mill it, take the semolina out of it, make your noodle flour, put your eggs and your milk and your water in it, make the noodle. And then when you let the noodle dry and you boil the noodle to make it soft to eat, it's still got a little bounce to it. It's called al dente. You can it's called al dente.
A little bounce?
A bounce when you bite it.
When you bite it,
okay?
Yes.
You can take that noodle, you can put it in the refrigerator tomorrow morning or tomorrow at lunch, you want to eat it, put the water back on the stove, boil it, throw your noodles in and heat it, and you'll still have the bounce. Most pasta raised in the world will dissolve in the water. You can tell when you got a good pasta because when you boil it, if your water all turns real white and cloudy, you boiled a lot of the starch out of it.
Yes,
and therefore the gluten strength is real strong, real light. Or if you take these high-end pastas and you boil it, the water almost stays clear. And most of Italy likes a pasta that's tough, that has a bounce to it. It's got al dente. It's got a snap bite to it. Most Americans like it to dissolve in your mouth. And the reason is because Kraft macaroni and cheese has brainwashed most people to eat pasta like that. And they don't even use a durum. They use a red wheat or a white wheat.
I see.
So it's real sticky, and they stick cheese to it, which they're trying to sell cheese and not pasta. That's Kraft macaroni and cheese. Kraft is a cheese company, not a pasta company or a cereal company. So anyway.
Well, you mentioned by biting, is it not so hard? It's softer.
It's soft, but you can tell. It doesn't dissolve. You actually have to chew it.
I understand. Let me ask you, by the way, by the other wheats what they have in New York from Long Island, when you chew it, it became like the outside, it cracks, it pops like a shell, and then in the inside, it's as soon you chew it, it gets soft like flour. Mm-hmm. And you feel right away a good taste because it gets like flour. And here, even the bread wheat. The rabbis here, they come here, they plant bread wheat, not durum wheat. But when we have it there and we chew it, it's I don't know what you say before by biting. Is it good? What you mean? What we feel when we bite it, it cracks. It's hard to chew it. It's very hard. It's dry. And even if I chew it, if you manage to chew it as how long you chew it, it's not became stick. It's not became stick together. And also the same thing is by milling. The other wheats from Long Island, when you mill it and you sip it, after when it's done, the white flour, it's like whole wheat. It have also everything in, but it's pretty good sipped. And it's not became like a dry thing. It's became the flour from the wheats, what they plant here for the matzoh, after milling, it fall when you take it from a bowl and you pour it in the bigger bowl. It's fall like a very dry sand.
Ours does.
Ah, yes, from Yuma.
Yeah.
Even if it's bread wheat, but they plant. And the other from New York or New Jersey, it's much different. When you pour it, it's like flour what you buy in the. It's not fall like a dry sand. Mm-hmm. It could be much higher amount.
I think that's your reason right there. You're processing something that has 11% moisture versus a 6% moisture.
That's the reason. And the taste.
And the taste would be different.
Taste is much different.
What
there, I feel right away a good taste.
Most of the pasta people and stuff, they'll add moisture.
They add moisture.
And it's cheap. That's the other reason they buy it here.
There's the other reason.
But most flour mills want to make it either 11 or is it 12% moisture when they mill their flour. They put it in a tempering room.
But why I say it's 6? They harvesting when it's 6% dry.
You just can't hold it.
What?
You just can't harvest it, and it just automatically drops that fast.
It drops the moisture.
You can be out there today and check that field.
What drops? The moisture drops.
The moisture.
They can't harvest it before this. Why?
You go out and you check it. At a point in time, it doesn't thrash very well. Okay, because it's too moist. Okay, by the time you get it to where it thrashes, with all the heads thrash good, the moisture depletes out of that head quickly.
Then it's could drop from one day to the other?
Yeah, well, 1 day or 3 days, because not everything ripens at the same time. The head on a wheat plant matures from the center outward like this. So if your wheat head is sitting here like this, the most mature is in the middle, and they ripen this way and ripen that way.
Because the heat, because the sun...
well, no, that's just the way a plant does it.
The way it plants here.
Okay, that's where they mature. Okay, so then you got this head out there, and then you got a plant that puts off 12 different heads, okay, from one plant. This smaller one down here, and this first one up here, and this one over here, all mature at different times.
The same head could be...
No, the same plant.
The same plant.
Will have lots of different mature heads on it because they come up at different times. Now, they're not like a week apart, but they're days apart.
I see.
So now when you finally get to where that field will harvest good, real well, then you get started in there, and then the wind and the environment that you're in, which is very low moisture here, I mean, it is low. I mean, it's not 40% or 60% relative humidity like you have in New Jersey.
I understand.
Okay? So you can harvest here all day and all night. You know, out there, the dew comes in at night. You have to stop. It gets tough. The morning, it's moist. You got to wait until 10 o'clock to get going. You know, stuff like that. Here,
why? Because the combine is not.
Because they're moisture in the grain. A lot of the grain is harvested in the field at that percent. New Jersey, South Dakota, Minnesota, Montana, Indiana, Illinois, and you get to Arizona, southern part of Arizona, New Mexico, 6%. We'll see some grains come in here at 8%.
I see.
But it's invariably when we start shipping grain.
But again, why you not harvest by 11%?
You can start, but it won't last.
It won't last. Why?
Because the air takes all the moisture out of it. The moisture leaves the plant to go out in the air.
What means it wouldn't last? What's going to happen?
It evaporates.
From the moisture from the wheat?
Yeah, it's like you have
a bowl. What's going to happen?
You have a bowl of water here.
Yes.
And the heat, the sun, the water evaporates.
Then what's going to happen with the wheat? It's going to get small?
Nope.
What's going to happen?
A wheat when it's 40% moisture, it's mature.
Mature. Okay.
When it's 40% moisture, the germ and the young plant will grow. It's mature. Okay?
Yeah.
At 40%, the kernel dehisces itself from the plant. It disconnects itself. So once it disconnects itself, it's not taking in any moisture. Now it's just drying down. From once 40%, the reason it goes to 40%, the plant starts drying down. Okay? So there isn't taking up moisture anymore. The kernel dehisces. Now it's going to dry down to the environment.
But what's happened if you harvest it by 11%? What's happened?
Well, you're going to get green kernels in there.
Oh,
you're going to get mushy kernels.
It's going to be
mold
because
not all of it is going to mature like that.
I see. It could be mold also. I see.
Yeah,
I see. The
mold could help develop. And
this is the other problem. It was that why we're looking to have from Arizona matzoh, beets for the matzoh. The only reason is because we're not allowed after when it's mature, more from mature, when it's like 14% or like you say 11%, the minimum is if it's 11% and even if it's still in the ground, if it gets water, it's a big problem.
I know.
And it rains a lot in this time. That's the problem. Mm-hmm. Now, but we manage. The rabbis they are supervised and they take care of it. Of course, we manage. But some rabbis said, let's go to Arizona. But the other rabbis told them, but you mentioned now this could be much worse because that problem why you can't harvest it by 11%.
Yeah.
And you got to wait by 6.
Well, you want to be looking. Well, we've actually done it. We've started at 13 and 14%. It's too wet.
It's too wet.
Too wet. It actually feels wet.
I know. I understand.
So then you wait a day, and now it's 11%.
And it gets 6. And then the other day it's 6%.
And then so you try and start. Now you still got a few green ones. Next thing you know, you're down to 8%.
Well, they said a couple of years. I don't know. But the thing is like this. Nobody come here to Arizona. Even if I did a lot of research since the last year, but I never was in Arizona. But they told me, the other rabbis they told me that because this occurs, like you said before on the plant, one head is 14, one head is 6. You can't take it off, you can't harvest it, and the 6 is so dry that it's 100% ready. Mm-hmm. And then when it gets even, how you call the wet from the night?
Yeah, dew.
What?
Dew.
And especially if it comes even a tiny bit rain and it's so dry, which is definitely disconnected from the ground.
So you can't temper the grain because it's adding moisture to the grain.
Yes.
Tempering actually raises the humidity in the chamber where the grain sits and makes the moisture within the grain come up to a uniform 11 or 12%. But that's adding moisture.
It's adding moisture back from the humidity.
Yeah.
That's a huge problem for a huge kosher problem.
Yeah, I know. So
you said this could happen that when it's 6% already, it could get 11% back from the humidity. And what?
No, you've got to actually have higher percent humidity to get that forced in there.
But it could happen.
But you have to do it under a controlled system. You wouldn't do it in the field. It would not happen in the field.
It would not happen in the field.
Once it dries down to this in the field, you aren't going to get it back up. Now you could, if you got rain on it and everything, but then it's going to absorb that water back up too much, and then it's going to cause starch to break down into simple sugars. In other words, alpha amylase is going to start, which is going to break down your starches into simple sugars, which is going to start making food available to that embryonic plant, and it's going to start growing. And start growing.
A little rain could happen in the harvesting season.
Yeah, it has.
It could happen a little rain.
We only get 2 inches of rain a year, but we could get a sprinkle.
It's good at a sprinkle.
That's a weird cloud could come through that's no more than a mile wide and put a few sprinkles down on it. Yeah, yeah, it can happen.
But if it's so dry, then these few sprinkles could be a big problem.
Mm-hmm. And it's happened. We've had some fields.
Now the
rabbi was out there and it came through and it destroyed them.
Yeah, but sometimes it's impossible because they said now that they used to take from you, and the last year they went to somebody, Tim. I have his address.
Tim Dunn.
Yes, Tim Dunn. Yes.
He's done some of it.
Yes.
He's south of here.
And they make like a contract that they lease or they buy the field. I don't know how it works.
I don't know what he did. What we did it as a price. When we were doing it about 5-6 years ago, it was, this is what we can do it for. It's so much an acre, to get it done. And this is the yield we're going to take. and it's kind of like
it's like $700 an acre.
Yeah, it's a total production. And what you don't take, we can buy for grain, and that goes against the contract, and we've done stuff like that. It got to the point right now where for a durum production, it's going to be about $1,200 per acre. Per acre. That's what the price of durum was this year. We equated about that type of
and how much was for the
grower. Return to the grower. Okay, gross return to the acre from 12, and if he got 8,000 pounds, he's going to get more. It depends how the grower was using, but that number was pretty close for all the durums. Okay, so that's the market you got to go against, regardless of bread wheats, regardless of whatever wheats.
It's 1,200.
It's that durum market.
It used to be 700.
Yeah, there was a time when durum was only about $200 a ton per ton. Okay, this year it was 400.
I'm talking for an acre.
Yeah, but this is a per ton, and you'll put 3.5 to 4 tons per acre.
How much it comes out per acre? 1,200?
Yeah, so 4 times this would be 1,600.
Per acre. The last year they told me $600-700 per acre.
Yeah.
They told me like watermelon is $4,000 per acre.
Yeah, probably.
That's more. That this year can be 1,600, you said.
You might find something. Nah.
There's
some guys that win at 350 though this year.
I have a very interesting question. If they told me.
But up here on the Mesa, you might get it for 600.
Oh, why? What is the difference?
They use a sprinkler system with a drop-down nozzle. So sprinkle below the head, the canopy of the crop. So it waters the plant underneath the head, but
a sprinkler below the head. Sprinkler is right on the
ground, or
it's not touched.
Yeah, 4 inches, 6 inches off the ground, or something like that.
It's not touched. They call it like dripping.
Yeah, it's not really, but it's just low. It's drop nozzles. They call it a drop nozzle system.
Since when they use this?
A couple years ago. Because before they were set up, they'd come down and sprinkle over the canopy.
Yes.
So you would have your pivot out there, and the nozzle would come off like this, and it would spray water like this, and then the plant would be right here.
And what is the problem?
Well, there you're putting water on the head, on the grain.
Oh, when it's too dry.
Yeah. See, you'll be still irrigating at this. You'll irrigate at 40% one more time at least.
Yes.
You'll probably irrigate one more time then. But you got to be pulling water off because you're at maturation or whatever percent you're going to have. You got to pull the water off.
But you say that when they make not dripping, when they make the sprinkle so low, 6 inches, and what's doing with the weeds which is dry already and it falls down on the ground?
It doesn't lodge usually. That won't lodge up there.
What means lodge?
Fall over. It doesn't fall over.
It doesn't fall over?
Not up there on the mesa.
Even if it comes with wind?
Well, it'd have to be an awfully big wind.
What?
It'd have to be a hurricane wind, yeah.
And the wind doesn't push it down?
It would then. 100-mile-an-hour wind might throw it down.
100 mile an hour, but like normal.
30-mile-an-hour winds and 20-mile-an-hour winds aren't going to do it.
Even the dry.
Well, if it's dry, they've quit watering it. If it's dry, they quit watering it. Now you may have an occasional plant breakover, but you're not going to have a whole field layover flat.
No, I'm talking again because you say before you could have one part of the weeds could be moisture and one part could be dry. Since when it could start to play this game? Since how many weeks before the harvesting it could reach the level that a part of the weeds is dry already. It's lower than 10%. How many weeks before the harvesting?
I don't know. It depends on your field.
It could be like 3 weeks before the harvesting should begin some weeds to become the dry level. Maybe not 6, but...
Well, you're going to have areas in a field, even in the river bottom, that has some sand streaks that go through it. They're going to mature 2 weeks before the rest of the field.
2 weeks?
Or 3 weeks.
And
then you get up there, that's not flat. It's rolling, 6% slope rolling hills. You do have low spots, and you have higher spots. The low spots stay green. The higher spots get mature.
And in these 3 weeks, they don't put any water there? Sprinkles?
No, they'll probably do sprinkles.
They have to do sprinkles. If
it's really green, if the front parts of that field are pretty green yet, they'll put some water on.
then this is the question again, how it's possible. In New York we don't have this problem because the whole field gets together. But here because the nature here, it's like you said, and how it's possible to make sure, especially if they lease this field, because usually when the rabbis see a problem, you don't take it. But if they lease it and they have to pay it, somebody told me, Rabbi Chaim.
Go ahead and sell it off.
Isaac Chaim, yeah. Chaim, the last name. He's leading the whole thing. He told me that they lease it and they have to take it. And I asked him how it's possible. If you come here because you don't have the rain, but it comes out, it's ended up that you have huge major problem more than in places where it's raining.
One place that might work for you too. I don't know.
Is it about Idaho? Is a place where it's not raining
there's a place up there called. It's almost as dry as here. It's in Montana, actually. Can't remember the name of the place now, but it's
I spoke
really
with somebody in Tucson. They are here just for the vacation. They have a huge amounts of fields in Montana.
In Montana can be dry too at certain times. It's almost like you need to have 4 productions.
But
New
there in
Jersey,
Montana,
South Dakota or Minnesota, Montana, and Idaho. And maybe one of those would not get any rain on some.
Would not get any rain on this season. And how about this problem? What you say that a part could be mature and a part could be.
Yeah, you're going to have some of that too, because most of that's rolling ground. 6% slope, 4%.
They would have the same problem as here.
Yeah, you just wouldn't harvest the low spots. You'd take the high spots and you'd go around and mark and harvest the mature spots and leave the rest. And they'd go in there with their combine afterwards and harvest it all and put it in a grain bin.
But you mentioned before that this could be on the same plant, one part. This means you cannot be 100%.
What happens though when you get up north further, when you have moisture in the air, the moisture doesn't disappear as quickly.
Where north? You mean in Montana and in Idaho?
Yeah.
There is this problem is easier than here.
Yeah, it gets more salt because your moisture is going to end up at 11 or 12%. But 10% grain is low in those areas.
But here
that's wet grain.
And here it seems that this problem is not dissolved 100%.
You can't resolve it.
It can't be 100%.
You can't resolve it. You're going to have low. We've tried it 2 years in a row, and by the time we get done, we had stuff that was at 6%, 7% moisture.
I understand.
And when they mill it, it shattered, it broke, it didn't do right, and that's what happens with grain when you don't temper it to that moisture. It does not mill correctly. You don't make flour correctly.
Yes, yeah.
You kind of shatter all the crystals, the starch granules. You shatter them. It's like taking an egg or something and it explodes. And what you really want is those starch granules to be together. When
you mention break the weeds, I have. They talk about this with the dust. Here in Yuma you have a big dust problem. Sometimes in the air is very very high dust, like thousands of feet in the. Mm-hmm. It's from July and further, but also during the winter season you have just little dust. You have all. Yesterday I was driving in Tucson even.
Yeah,
it was
in the
dust.
Summertime you have dust storms all over. Yeah.
But now it's winter.
You don't have as many.
It was not as many, but I saw I think it was 20 miles per hour wind.
Yeah,
and I have dust.
Those big dust devils in the sky that go up to 1,000 feet too.
I didn't saw that big,
yeah.
But I saw regular dust fly right. It could cover every car. It could cover. I asked the farmer there. He told me that he have it usually. He told me that, and also by the way, I buy oranges and grapefruit. And they said that it's. I went by a store. They say it's planted here in Arizona. Mm-hmm. When I take out the orange, it was dusty, really dusty, and I just lick it one little lick, and then I chew it. It cracks between the teeth, really. Yeah. And he told me that this happens here all the time. He told me it's not just from the big ones is a huge problem, yeah. But with not the big ones,
they have to all be washed.
It's all be washed. But the problem is, in the wheat you cannot wash it. And I asked him, what's going to be also? I asked him, what's going to be after the combine works with the wheat?
Well, what happens is you need to have a wheat that sits with the gloom And the lemon-apelia that cover that kernel inside?
The straw, yes.
Okay. There's some of them that are completely covered.
Yes, but some get open by the end.
Some of them, right here, they start
to crack, like half cracks,
right
little
there,
tiny
and then
cracks.
the kernel sticks out the end.
The kernel sticks out then. That's what the farmers told me. And then this means when it comes to this stage, then because the dust is so fine, it goes in.
Yeah.
And the other thing is
water goes in too then.
Water, and this means that the dust sticks there.
Yep.
And besides this, it comes out that not only how you call the shell, the straw? How you call the
lemon-apelia?
Lemon-apelia? And what means?
Lemon is the flat part in the kernel on the top. The apelia covers the back.
The back. And what means straw? What you call straw?
The straw.
This is the straw.
It's part of the. That's chaff. This becomes chaff, and the straw is the stalk.
The chaff is the closest part to the kernel. And this chaff is by the end, it's cracked, and the kernel even sticks up. Which it means not only it's not secured from the dust, but it goes in and it keeps it to sit in there. Mm-hmm. With the moisture, it sticks there, which it's impossible to get rid of it. But he explained me, yes, Clark, it was his name, he explained me not only this, he told me even if it's just whatever it's on the straw from outside, when the combine breaks it and he blow it, he cannot blow everything, even pieces of the straw of the chaff. He bring me weeds. He showed me it's full with pieces on the chaff. He told me if this stays there, then positive the dust stays there. It's impossible to tell for the combine to take away all.
Who are you talking to? Tom Clark?
Two people, Tom Clark and Gary Dim. Both of them takes Gary. Then I have a name.
I know Tom.
I have it here in the business account. I would like to make pictures from you and me. When I go back to the rabbi, they need proof that I was here. Mm-hmm. Then they want to decide exactly what to do. That's why I bring this film. Clark is these two people. Yeah, in the car I have it on a paper. Before I came, I make appointments with them.
Double M. Oh, Gary Dean. Okay, yeah. I know
Gary Dean?
Yeah, I know who they are.
And both of them tell me they take from you the weeds.
Yeah, they're good. They're good people.
He told me 1,800,000 pounds. He have 300 acres, but he have much more.
Yeah, Tom Clark. He actually raises some barley for us too.
How much he have? How many acres?
I don't even know. I don't know how big he is. I have a salesman in Casa Grande that deals with both of those. His name is Fred Frazier. So you might be dealing with Fred over there.
With whom?
Fred Frazier, who works for me.
Not yet. Maybe you know.
He's a salesman and stuff, and he works with both of those guys on our stuff, on our wheat and barley.
Can you write down his name and phone number? When I go back to Tucson, I should meet him.
Well, he's in Casa Grande.
Where?
Casa Grande.
How far from Tucson?
About an hour.
It's between here and Tucson?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I will see. I will see to go to him. I will call him and make an appointment.
528 560.
The same area code as Tucson.
Yeah, 520. But that's my guy over there.
This is yes, yeah.
Fred Frazier. Old crotchety man, about 62, 65.
Oh, but he's still at work. About the dust is the problem because they told me that the strongest part from the salt, because it's come up to the surface all the time, and the dust which get airborne, there is the strongest. The dust which it flies, the salt is fine salt. When the dust is flying, it's dust, the salty dust. Mm-hmm. This is the problem. Because it dries, then they call it real salt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. You got a crystal then. You got a salt crystal.
From this dust which is flying in the air is a salt crystal? What it means?
Well, that's what I mean. It's come out of solution. It's not dissolved anymore, or dissolved salt. It's actually dried back down and it's crystallized.
It's real salt, you mean?
It's real salt.
Yeah. And how you call table salt? Also crystal?
Yeah. That's a crystal.
Then it's the same salt like table salt?
Well, you know.
It's not the same.
Sodium, your table salt is sodium, or sea salt.
Yes.
Okay, it's sodium. You can have potassium as a salt, sodium as a salt. You have other salts too, but most of it's sodic. I mean, the dark fields, the dark ground like we have here, it's called sodic soils, black alkali with salt. And then you have the light soils that are white, which they call those white alkaline, which are saline type soils. Okay? So they're all salt.
It's also, you know what it's make me, there's some people asking me.
You all taste it. You taste salt.
But how come, what is the taste from this salt when it's real crystal like you call
salt.
it? You
Just
taste
like
it as a salt.
It's just like a salt.
Because I was confused up till today. I was up till now. The crystal what you have in the dust, and let's say if you
it's a lot smaller.
I understand. It's very fine. Yeah. They explain it about.
Because sea salt crystallizes very large.
Yes.
It just keeps attaching itself.
Yes.
It makes a big crystal. Crystals are a multitude of molecules attaching themselves to make the crystals bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yes.
But here in the soil, you have the water, it starts drying back, you have that crystal starting to form, it forms as long as there's water there, once water disappears it stops. Then you start moving it, tumbling it around, it breaks. The wind picks it up, it breaks it gets finer and finer and finer and finer and finer and finer, it gets to be a fine dust.
But it's a real
salt.
Crystal salt.
It's a salt. And you can take a salt shaker and you can go like this across it with a knife.
It's going to also,
it grinds up to a smaller crystal.
Like French fry salt.
Yeah.
French fry salt is the same thin as this. It's like a real
fine.
It's thinner as flour.
Yeah.
You touch it.
Yeah. So that's what happens.
And I also see the same thing when I buy salt for snow in a bag, which is really big, like stones.
Crystal, yeah.
Little, but I take just in my hand.
Crystal salt. Yeah.
But even there, when I take a handful of this and I throw it to the snow,
yes.
It gets a real dust also, a very fine dust.
Yeah.
And when I taste it, it's sharp. It's very. Then you say when you taste this dust, which is going in the dust here, the dust problem, it's real salt.
Yeah, it's not
you
all
taste
salt.
it already?
It's not all salt.
I understand.
There's a clay in there too, but it'll taste salty.
It's clay and salt, and the salt is real. This is the first time I heard it.
Yeah.
You taste it already.
Well, it's you got when you go into this,
But everybody knows that it's a real salt taste.
I think so. Yeah.
But you know for sure. Well, that's interesting.
Well, see, salt is salt.
Salt is salt.
Sodium is sodium.
Sodium is sodium. Then you say table salt.
Yeah, table salt, sodium.
By the way, sodium is the hardest part, the sharpest part from the salt. You have sodium, and you have, and what is the other kind?
Well, you have
like
potassium is a salt too.
Potassium.
Yeah.
But sodium is the strongest part of the salt.
Yeah, and it's you add things to salt. You add iodine.
Yes, iodized, yes.
To correct things, and you can add.
But you think? I think 200 years ago they didn't add iodized.
Sea salt doesn't have it.
Sea salt doesn't have it.
No.
Then this sodium is it's the same strong like sea salt. It comes from the same source.
I'm guessing. Do they call sea salt? I guess they call sea salt sodium. I don't know. I use sea salt for cooking. But I guess I make the assumption it's still sodium.
Because in the agriculture offices they told me that sodium, everything is sodium. Sodium is the strongest part.
Yeah, see, potassium dissolves more, and it's not necessarily travels as well. And actually, it's a micronutrient for the plant. Potassium. It's needed.
But potassium is not so sharp. It's not so strong like sodium.
It's a very mild, very.
Sodium is the sharpest part from every salt.
Strongest flavor.
Strongest flavor.
Yeah, I guess there's a couple other things like alkali salts and stuff like that. I don't know if that's.
Yes,
sodium.
I read about it.
I don't know if it's sodium. That might be something else.
When I have this articles in front of me, I spoke to the officials. I asked them. Everybody told me that sodium, because the rabbi is asking me, maybe sodium is just sodium. I told him it's why I say just sodium, because you see on every snack package you have sodium. I told them that's the reason, because it's so strong, and they don't want you should be.
Salt is the preservative.
That's why they put it there, because they want to be careful. You should know about your diet. They don't mention alkaline and potassium because that wouldn't hurt you.
That's right.
But sodium going to hurt you.
Yeah.
And
they use such large amounts of sodium in all of the canned goods and the supermarkets and all the pack. Because that does preserve it. It keeps fungi, it keeps this stuff.
Because it's strong.
It's strong, and
that's what I explained them. In the beginning they was laughing because nobody else beside me pick up the phone and talk to the officers like I did. But I told them, you don't know. You're mistaking. And because if I hear it from you, you are a farmer, you are very, 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 very deep in this field. This is the most important information for me, the most trustable information.
Yeah, so we do have high sodium here. It happens. I mean, that's just the environment.
The nature, here you have it in the nature, but because, I explain them like this, as long as you have it in the nature, it's in the water, it's in the soil, it's not accumulate, which is not, how you call it, like, it's not separated. Mm-hmm. But once it's separated, because it came from the water and the heat separates it, then you have already by the roots real salt. Mm-hmm. And when it goes in from real salt, it's not like you have in New York and in other places, which is not accumulate real salt by the roots.
Right.
This is the only difference from you and other places, but still they want to go around and around to see how they come up with a 100% conclusion, because they want to come here. They want to come here for sure.
They want to come here because there's no rain.
It's no rain. But they also want to be secure, because it's like we mentioned before. It could be ended up that it's much more problems even with no rain.
If you're to be successful here, you need to bring your wheats that you like out here and test them. You need to bring the varieties or the types of wheats that work well for you back there. Hopefully, they aren't all winter wheats. That they're more.
They did it already. The other rabbis did it already.
And none of them came back the same.
No, this is like I mentioned before. It was so hard to chew it. I think the hard don't have to do with the durum wheat, because the heat. The reason why that they explain me, the other farmers, why they plant durum wheat, because durum wheat needs a lot of heat, and that's what you have here. But
the other thing you might want to look at, you've been basically trying soft red wheats, right?
I don't know exactly what kind. I'm not familiar. But I just chew it and I try it. It was really hard. Really hard.
I want to look at a bunch of soft white wheats.
They did everything. I took the wheats from them. I never planted it. I took the wheats from them and I chew it. I chew it a while. It's got so small chewing it, and it never gets stick together.
That's the flour.
The flour, yes. What they make from the flour.
It never sticks together.
It never sticks together. That's why I see by the flour, it's poured when they pour it in the other pail, it falls like a very dry sand. But they have some techniques.
Crystal. You need to talk to somebody about the starch crystal that's been shattered. You need to figure out another way to mill that wheat.
They know already how to do it. They make matzah. I just wonder what's the difference. Why? But now I know, because here it's so dry.
I think it's dry.
And also could be, somebody told me that the salt, because salt, when it's sharp, when...
I don't think that's the reason for holding it. I don't think there's enough salt in there to cause that problem. Because you also take off the seed coat. You take that seed coat off, right? Or you're using all of it.
What is seed coat?
The kernel?
The
bran on the outside?
No, they don't take it off.
That's all in there?
Yes, it's all in there. We grind it together. We not strip it off like they make for rye bread, for white. No. We mill everything together, the whole kernel, and then we sip it. But after sipping, it's not a very fine. We have the number how much to sip it. After sipping, you see white and much of the shell from the weeds. It's there, much of the shell. Which means all the dust which it came in, which it was sticking to the kernel, and plus which was outside on the chaff, which the combine cannot guarantee to take it out. They're not designed for this, especially this wheat, because we don't wash the weeds.
I think they bought a cleaning machine too, a small cleaning machine to get the chaff out.
Who? The combine?
No, the Henry. Henry and
Clark.
Not the farmers, the rabbi.
To clean the weeds?
To get the chaff out. I think they bought one of those too.
The chaff? Yes, but after this, they could be guaranteed the whole dust going to be out?
No.
It's impossible. Everybody told me. So you can't ever get such a machine.
Some of that dust is going to tie up to the kernel.
It's going to tie up to the kernel. First because it gets wet and it sticks there. And even the dry dust, you can be sure that such a fine dust, you should get rid of it. And not only this, because you still have much pieces from the chaff. Mm-hmm. This shows that even the pieces, which is much bigger than a regular salt, stays there, because the machines are not angels. Mm-hmm. It's impossible. That's the problem. But they have to calculate. They have to figure all this, and then they're going to decide how to work it out. Sometimes it could be they have a system from 70 years what they do in New York. they know the time when to harvest it. Even if it's rained 2 days before, it's get dry enough. They know this is good.
I wonder if like, I mean, it'd be expensive, but getting out of this because the Arizona heat is so harsh. I mean, Saudi Arabia, Egypt is hot, Africa's hot.
But not so dry.
But not so dry, and not so hot like this. It's more like New Mexico.
What kind of heat is
New
there?
Mexico is about 105 degree temperatures. Here we're at 118 and 120 degree temperatures.
And how is Saudi Arabia is 105?
And New Mexico, which is 500 miles to the east of here, where they raise wheat also, and they don't.
It's also 105, you said.
Yeah, it's 105, but you can get up on the high plains of New Mexico. They don't have any rains showing up from July or from May and June there either. Okay, they don't have any rains showing up. And that's when their harvest is in May and June. And their temperatures are more like 95 to 100 degrees. But they're about 4,000 foot elevation. But they're not really mountains. They're just high desert. Okay, it's a high desert area. But that area may be a better place that would actually, and most of that's well water. There's rivers over there.
And how deep is their wells?
I don't know.
Here is it like 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
There is it also deep. 1,000
I don't
feet means...
I don't know how far. They're under the Ogallala Aquifer, which is a very large. It's the aquifer of water that starts in South Dakota and comes all the way down to South Texas. It's a big water supply, and they pump.
They explain me that because it's so deep, this means it's the water has got rid of the salt. The salt goes away. It's not goes there.
But that might be an area. Because, I guess what I'm trying to get back, when you get back into Israel, there are dry spots too, but they aren't, and they're hot, but they aren't so
They explain me what you say now for Saudi Arabia. They told me this. What you say here, it's hot and dry.
Hot, dry.
Combined these together, it's very hot and so dry. This is the only place in the world where it's so.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
You go to Egypt, it's hot, but it's not 125 degrees hot. It's like 100 degrees hot or 95 degrees hot. It's hot, but it's not so hot. Like
and here is it 125?
I've seen 127, 127 degrees.
And in Egypt, is it only 100?
Yeah.
And how is it dry? What makes
so
heat?
They say of the places in the United States that's kind of close to the Middle East area is New Mexico. New Mexico State University sits in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Of any of the environments in the United States, that environment is more like over there. Matter of fact, New Mexico State University has buildings over there in the Middle East with a university. In that, just for research, I mean, they're just like sisters. I mean, they have sister university type stuff. Yeah. So I've talked to people about this that's maybe an area for you to actually do production in, and they have drip irrigation, so you don't even sprinkle it. It's all watered underneath the ground.
Underneath the ground.
Under a tube.
Not even six inches.
Under a tube. Tube buried 10 inches below the soil surface or a foot below the soil surface, and it waters from the ground up.
10 inches below the surface
of the soil.
Why not making here this type irrigation?
Because that's a limited water source over there.
Uh-huh. And maybe also because here is more hot. That's why.
Well, yeah, but there is some drip here, but most of it's on top.
Most of it's on top. Yeah. Now again, what you're saying is that even in Egypt and Saudi Arabia is cooler than here, which there is like 105 and here is 125 and 127. And the dry, here is more dry. What makes it more dry? What is the reason?
It's just no water. You know, where we're sitting, when the sun comes over, when the sun comes to the south, the rays are so direct on us. The water supply is, we'll get some moist rains or storms coming out of Mexico, but that's in September, August and September. Otherwise,
how much rain they have
in July? When you start talking April, May, June, and July, all of our winds come out of the north, and there's no moisture there.
Wow.
It's all desert.
And how much rain they have? Here is all desert. And how much rain they have in Saudi Arabia and in Egypt?
Oh, not very much.
Here you have like 2 inches. How much you have there?
I don't know, but it's not very much.
Like 5, like
But
6.
see, they've got the Nile. The Nile is the big thing there for Egypt and all that.
And the Nile brings a lot of moisture.
Yeah, now Saudi Arabia doesn't have any rain. There's a lot of they're pumping.
Saudi
all
Arabia
their
is
water.
not rain.
Yeah, they're dry and they're pumping all their water out of an aquifer.
Then how come?
That's recharged out of Turkey.
Then how come Saudi Arabia have more moisture than here if they have nothing?
Well, they don't necessarily have so much moisture per se, but they don't have the heat. I mean, it's hot, but it's not that hot.
Then combining is your figure is that here is the hottest and driest.
I look more towards Israel, which is more of a mild climate. Now it's got desert.
In Israel, they have more than 20 inches rain.
Yeah, but they'll have rains, But there's some dry areas, really dry areas too.
I told for the rabbis, if they find that they asked me what's doing in Israel, I told them if they find in Israel the same type irrigation like here because they have no rain, it's going to be the same problem. I think.
Maybe,
but like you said, they have. But like you said, because all the factors came out that here is the driest, and here is the saltiest place in the world.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. One really needs to go to New Mexico State University and talk to there's a guy over there that you can talk to, the New Mexico Crop Improvement Association. His name is, I can't remember his name, Terry.
You have a number from them?
I think I do. But you might want to talk to him and because there's some growers there that have some small acres, and it's drip irrigation. You're probably going to have to buy the crop just like you have. You're going to want to get out early in June. That's when you want to get out, if you can. You can have Las Cruces, New Mexico, or you can go on up towards Clovis and Portales. Areas there, too.
They harvest only in June?
The wheat usually comes off in June over there. Here we're June, July.
And when they plant it?
January,
that's good.
Yeah, in January.
I would like to have their address, their number,
I don't
something.
remember what his name is.
It's in New Mexico, you said?
Las Cruces, New Mexico. It's right on Interstate 10. Let's see here. It's Tracy, that's his name.
Tracy?
I didn't put her into that name.
You know him personal? You make business?
I've done some work with him, yeah.
You make, you sell him also seeds?
I don't necessarily sell him. He does some field inspection work for me.
Uh-huh.
Here is his, it's Tracy.
T-R-A-C.
It's T-R-A-C, I think it's Y.
Y, yes.
Cahil, or Cahil.
T-R-A-C.
It's C-A-R-R-I-L-L.
C-A-R.
R-I.
Double R.
I-L.
I-L.
I and a double L.
C-A-double-R-I and a double L.
Yeah.
Okay.
And his phone number is 575-646-4125. That's his office.
4125. Fine, I will tell them that you introduced me to him.
And there was somebody that called out.
Yes, that's good. I should tell them.
There was a guy that called out of New York, probably in December. There was a rabbi that called. I don't think it was you. Somebody called me, and I tried to find some growers over there at that time.
No, I was not.
Yeah, but they were, and I said, you need to try New Mexico. And he said, well, let me talk to some New Mexico. I tried to get some guys that were interested in it.
When I called, I spoke to Hank Alza. What's happened? It was the last year. I wondered because he gave me all the information, and then I asked him but then I couldn't contact him anymore. He told me that the other group they take weeds because then they still make business with you, and they don't want he should talk to somebody else. When somebody.
We haven't done anything like this, and I don't know that I've gotten kind of pretty busy on some other projects.
Yes, but no.
I turned it over to Hank. If he wanted to do it, he could do it on his own.
What?
To do the production.
Hank Alza.
To raise wheat. If somebody wanted to raise wheat for him, if he wanted to raise wheat for, he could do it on his own. But I wasn't going to get involved because I was too busy to oversee it.
What he do?
And then I think he ended up moving it off to some guys on the Mesa. He got busy on some projects, and so I lost this guy and I lost that guy. I'm doing this now myself. I got trees I'm working with. I'm olives and almonds, and
I think
and a greenhouse.
Is he older than you?
Is he what?
He's older than you?
He's actually a little younger.
Younger. What you say? His uncle. He's the nephew of the
Owner.
Of the owner. I see.
And Barclay seed. Yeah, he's the nephew of the owner. His mom is Robbie Barclay's sister. Of the corporation.
And you are a partner.
I'm not really. I just work for him.
You work for Hank.
I actually work for Robbie.
For his uncle.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. Yeah. Robbie owns all this.
Because you explain me much better than him. Oh, you explain me so good.
Well, and but there's a couple. Tim Dunn has done it in the past. He's got his own facility, grain company and stuff. He has his own land. His own combines, his own. He's got all that.
Yes,
he might.
Tim Dunn.
Yeah, Tim Dunn. Yeah, he's.
Tim Dunn. Who? Let me see.
I think you're going to see him.
Yes, I'm going to see him. Yes, I have his name. Tim Dunn have his own combine because they told me yesterday that they have a combine company. They come to. He owns those. He has
his own trucks. He has his own farming operation. He's got his own.
Tim Dunn makes for them the harvesting. He's the company. I see.
Yeah, he does it all.
That's what he told me.
Yeah. I'm sure they're all separate companies within his corporation.
Hank told me the last year when I asked him to explain exactly. He told me that annual he have to treat the field with chemicals, something. He
does. He sprays them for weeds and stuff.
Once
like
a year they have to do for the salt. I asked him. Then he asked him what.
He may put a salt.
Yeah, he told me he have to do once a year. Annually, he have to do something to get rid of this besides the water. I asked him what is the thing you're doing. He told me he answered me. Everybody have his own tricks.
He's put a nitrosol which ties the salt up, and then they flush it out.
Somebody explained me by the full moon, by whatever. It's tricks. Nobody knows this. The farmers, the farmers, the city here. They was born here. They're doing this all the years. They know. They find out what to do to
get it.
Which it means the sun is wonderful for the plants, but this creates salts. That's why you gotta work for this.
Yeah, this is a brutal area. I mean, it's if
hot.
You could find a crop that would grow well from June through September that would just love lots of heat, and all you had was heat, just a little water, you would have a gold mine here because there's not very many things that grow very well here during that period. There's just nothing. It's too hot.
It's too hot. Yeah, like you said, it's the hottest place on the world.
Yeah,
the hottest and driest
only
place.
One other place is Death Valley, and that's in the Grand Canyon. Death Valley.
At the Great Canyon, yes.
Yeah, Death Valley. There's less rain there, and it gets hotter. But that's the only place.
And they plant something there? No. Nothing, because it's too hot already. Even they have the sun the whole year.
It's there a lot. Yeah, that's why they call it Death Valley, because nothing lives there.
Death Valley. But what is happening if they plant it? It's not.
There's
it's
no
not
water. Yeah, just all
it's
that.
not growing.
It's got to be a cactus of some sort.
Cactus is growing is growing there from on its own. This is a cactus and also dates tree.
No date trees.
No date, only cactus. How come the cactus is growing?
Just
because it keeps just a little moisture. It drinks
so
the moisture.
It doesn't evaporate very much. So what moisture it pulls out of the air,
is gone.
It just stores and uses it really, really slow. It doesn't grow. They won't grow very fast.
Yes.
Because they just don't have.
And how many years they stays on the somebody told me 70 years.
Yeah.
Years and years. It's a soft thing. I think if you push it strong, you could break it.
Yeah, you'd think so, but like the saguaro cactuses, the tall cactuses that are only found in Arizona.
Yes, yeah.
They have the arms.
Yes, I saw that a lot.
Many of those things are hundreds of years old. Because if they say it takes to make one arm, to make a plant come up to make one arm is over 50 years, just to get that, and then each arm after that takes about another 50. To get that.
I saw 3 or 4. I saw.
Oh yeah, so those things are a couple hundred years old, or better.
And it looks fresh.
Yeah, but you can see when there's wet seasons and dry seasons, because when you start looking up, they'll constrict like this, and then they'll come back out like this.
Yes, I
They'll
saw.
grow, then they'll go like this again. Every time they constrict, it's a dry year.
You
So they
could
don't
see
grow
on the
as much.
marks on the.
Yeah,
You
they
could
don't
see
grow
from
out.
on the weather from years. And I saw holes in there. They told me that the birds make the holes to drink
Yeah,
water.
it's a cactus wren.
To drink the water.
Cactus
To
wren
soak.
goes in there and digs away to drink water out of it and stuff. And they also make a nest in there, and it's to go up, it's go down. They call it the cactus shoe. The wren goes in there and digs out and makes a nest, and then the plant seals that off to protect itself so it doesn't lose its water, and it makes a perfect, solid little encased home there. For the
And
cactus.
even with these holes, with these caves, it's not break down. It's not fall down.
No, because inside there it's a bunch of rebar.
Yes, it's full. It's full like insulation.
Yeah, rebar, fiber that
Yes,
holds it up,
yes.
and then in between this fiber, there's little corky areas that hold
Yes,
water.
yes. But it's like a soft kind of.
Well,
it's not
it is
solid
soft.
like
It is
wood.
soft. It's pliable. It can move.
Yes,
It's very
you could
rigid
shake
on
it.
the outside, yeah.
But if you push it, you cannot break it. You
No,
said.
it's pretty deep. Roots are pretty far down.
And if somebody hit it with a car,
You
of course
probably
you
knock
break
one
it.
over.
Yes.
But they're protected too. You can't destroy it. It's a
I mean accidentally.
accidentally. Yeah, you can't go out and harvest them. You can't go out and hit one. You can't go out and dig one up. It's against the
No,
law.
but I mean because the government.
Government.
Yes, but I mean
Everybody was stealing them out of the deserts,
Oh.
taking them.
You're not allowed to take it from the desert? Because it makes nice the desert. They want to keep the state.
Proper
Nice.
state. Now, if you own your desert land out there, you can take it.
I understand. Gee, that's so interesting.
So anyway,
Thank you so much. I would like to make now some pictures to see by the sign from your company.
Okay, that's fine.
To get it from both of us. That's
Okay.
how I can show proof for the rabbis.
See if Alicia's out there. She can probably take a picture.
Thank you.